Good afternoon, and thank you for joining our briefing on the City of Philadelphia launch of the second phase of the Mechanical Street Cleaning Program. This is for press only. If you're not a member of the press, please log out and watch today's live stream on the City of Philadelphia's Facebook page. I would say it looks like we're having some technical difficulties, so I apologize for that, and we will get the recording on the Facebook page as soon as we wrap up this briefing. We'll begin our briefing with remarks by Mayor Jim Kenney, followed by a presentation by Streets Commissioner Carlton Williams. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Our streets are the backbone of communities all across our city. They are what connect our city and its neighborhoods, where our children play and people of all ages and abilities are able to walk, bike, take transit, and drive comfortably. Today, we're excited to launch Phase 2 of Philadelphia's Mechanical Cleaning Program, a $62 million investment that expands the Streets Department existing cleaning efforts. Thanks to the expansion of this program, 4 neighborhoods identified through the litter index as having the highest concentration of litter will see increased cleaning efforts on both sidewalks and streets. Excuse me. Phase 2 is more comprehensive than standard mechanical sweeping and will include a variety of methods to remove debris from small and hard to reach spaces. In preparation for the launch of Phase 2 of the Mechanical Cleaning Pilot Program, selected neighborhoods, including North Central, South Philadelphia, Southwest, and Strawberry Mansion, will see new poles and posting signage, along with testing equipment on designated routes in the selected areas. As such, residents may notice signage posted with scheduled cleaning times on their block. To allow for more thorough cleaning of the streets from curb to curb, residents on these streets will need to move their cars following the posted signs. As our city continues to navigate the pandemic and recover from the impact of COVID-19, we can all help assure that neighborhood corridors are clean, safe, comfortable, accessible, and attractive places for all Philadelphians, which will also help attract new business activity and provide job opportunities. Now, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Streets Department personnel who support this program by educating merchants and residents about their responsibilities, work with communities on outreach efforts, and patrol streets to enforce litter laws. Finally, I want to acknowledge the hard work of all the individuals who do this work day in and day out. When businesses and residents see your work, they see that our neighborhoods are being cared for. Philadelphians see and recognize what you are doing. I'd like to turn it over to one of the biggest champions of this program, Commissioner Carlton Williams, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. And I am pleased to be here today to give you, it's an exciting time for us, something that a year ago we didn't think was going to happen due to the pandemic, which is the expansion of our mechanical street cleaning program. I do have a presentation that I want to share with you and to answer many of the questions on how the program would roll out and how it would operate. So I will pull it up on screen right now, and we will begin the presentation.
Looks good.
Okay. Is it, do you have it? We're up on screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. I'm trying to move it forward, so I'm having a little bit of problems here trying to advance the screen. So give me 1 second. Okay. It's not moving. Let me escape. Is this working? Put it on mute for a second. Okay, I think we're good now. I'm sorry, computer was taking a little bit of time to respond. Is everybody okay? Joy, are we okay now? I can move forward?
Yep, you're good. We can see it.
Very good. Okay, so I'll start with just a review of how we got to where we are today. As you recall, in 2019, we launched a pilot in 6 areas throughout the city of Philadelphia. Those areas included West Philadelphia, Southwest Philadelphia, Kensington, Strawberry Mansion, Logan, and South Philadelphia. As the results of that 6-month pilot, we cleaned over 1,189 blocks. We cleaned those once a week, 149 small streets, and we've removed over 971 tons of debris, cleaned over 13,000 miles of streets in those areas, and we collected significant amounts of litter and debris from the city's most challenged neighborhoods. Residents in the pilot areas favorably received the program, and according to an analysis and a survey conducted by the Mayor's Policy Office, over 90% of all residents welcomed the program and wanted to see expanded and continued in their community and across the city. The second phase, which we are pleased to announce today, will run this August through November 2021. And we're adding an additional 10 areas to our existing pilot areas, which brings us to a total of 14 areas that will receive mechanical street cleaning areas. Phase 2 will launch with 4 areas starting and will gradually build up to the 14 areas over the next few months. Keep in mind that because of the budget and pandemic, the funding was just approved for this fiscal year. So we're actually building the program and launching it simultaneously. And while we're doing it this way, of course, we need to get started as quickly as possible. So we're not going to wait until we got all of the resources and all the signs posted. We'll continue to build the program out and continue to clean in phases until we get to where we need to be. So that's why it's actually been in a phased in approach. It'll be a hybrid program. It will consist of mechanical sweeping, sidewalk and litter trash removal, and trash compactor removal. We consider it as still in a test phase in the first couple months because we want to make sure that routes are completed, and we're going to adjust logistically throughout the next couple of months to ensure that we're delivering the service as promised. Some streets in each pilot area will have sidewalk cleaning along with mechanical broom cleaning weekly. So let's take a look at the areas that we're going to initially begin in this month and then where we're going to roll out to. So there are 4 pilot areas that we're starting in beginning August 9th, 2021. That's in North Central Philadelphia from Broad Street to 22nd Street, from Glenwood Avenue to Diamond Street. Then we're also moving into Southwest Philadelphia from Woodland to King 7th Avenue, from 49th to Cemetery Avenue. In Strawberry Mansion from Diamond Street to Lehigh Avenue, from Sedgley, which is about 25th Street, to 33rd Street. And in South Philadelphia from McKean Street to Oregon Avenue, from 4th to 8th Street. The map that you see to your right, the 4 colored shaded areas are the areas that starts August 9th. The other areas will be added throughout the upcoming months. So these upcoming areas include Frankfurt, from Bridge to Adams, from Griscom to Tarsdale, Germantown, from Berkeley to Shelton, from Pulaski to Wakefield, Kensington, from 2nd to Kensington to Tioga to Lehigh, Logan, from Godfrey to the Roosevelt Boulevard, from Broad to 5th, Nicetown, which is Broad to Clarissa, from Hunting Park to Windham, Pasco, from 58th to 70th to Greenway to Dix, Point Breeze, Christian to McKean, from Broad to 24th, Port Richmond, Kensington to Aramingo, from Tioga to Lehigh, West Fairhill, 5th Street to 13th Street, from Glenwood to Susquehanna, and West Philadelphia from Parkside to Spring Garden, from 52nd and to 40th. So these streets were selected actually based on our litter index. The litter index actually measures the amount of litter and debris in a given area, and it gives it a rating from 1 to 4, 1 being the cleanest area, which is highlighted in dark green, red being the most challenged areas, which is highlighted in bright red. And all the colors in between give us a rating between 1 and 4. And as you can see, many of the areas that we've identified for this mechanical street sweeping program was based on the litter index. So the hot red areas is actually where we're starting throughout the city. There is a color-coded overlay map to show you where those areas are and why we're starting in those locations. So the equipment used for the mechanical streeting program, what we learned in our first pilot is that our current brooms that we were using, or the brooms that we use for our other routes, such as commercial corridors, didn't fit down all streets in the city of Philadelphia. And so when we made the initial purchase, we couldn't get access to many of those streets, and we could only use them on streets that were 8 foot wide or longer. This street we've invested, this phase pilot will include new brooms that will allow us to get down smaller streets. So what you're seeing right here, the picture to the right, is a smaller 4 foot wide broom that can get down narrow streets that we have in some of our tighter areas in the city of Philadelphia, areas such as North Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, parts of Germantown, and parts of West Philadelphia. We will continue to use large brooms, sidewalk sweepers, push brooms trash compactors to remove heavy, bulky debris off of streets. As we've continuously stated before, trash doesn't just lie on curb lines, it lies on sidewalks and abandoned lots. It doesn't just come in small pieces of litter that can be swept up. Some people with illegal dumping, we need larger equipment. We need compactors to make sure that we do a thorough job through each and every neighborhood. Back blowers will not be used on all streets, but there are times where we'll be using them on streets where there are tight areas where we can't get to with a mechanical broom, or off street, like a lot or a sidewalk area where we need that type of assistance. But the majority of the program will be mechanically cleaned with the equipment that we purchase using those mechanical sweepers. Scheduled street cleaning, we will be requiring people to move their cars. Restricted street parking will be selected based on the size and density of each block. The program will operate from Monday through Thursday, excluding city observed holidays. No parking signs have already begun to be installed and will be posted in 2-hour intervals each day from 9 to 11, 11 to 1, and to 1 to 3. So the entire program each day will operate between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. with 2 hours intervals in between for each neighborhood. It is important for residents to adhere to the specified no parking times posted on the no parking signs. Warnings will be issued to vehicles parked illegally during the early phase of the pilot. Sweep officers will patrol neighborhoods to issue parking warnings and educate residents on sanitation violations related to trash and litter. And to minimize the inconvenience during parking restrictions, we're in the final stages of designing an application where residents will be able to track the progress of each sweeper assigned to a route. This means that they will be able to log on to our website at Street Smart PHL, look at press on mechanical sweeping or street sweep, and then they'll be able to see the brooms actually in progress with about a 15-minute lag time behind. So this is important because if they've moved their car, we've cleaned the street, then they'll be able to bring their car back to that location. So we want to make this as convenient for residents as possible. This is a partnership between the City of Philadelphia and residents. Mechanical cleaning is an effective tool, but we still need residents' participation and support to keep our city clean. So the city will provide resources to mechanically clean streets weekly. We'll remove litter and debris from sidewalks. We'll collect illegally dumped material. We're asking our residents in pilot areas to follow the posted no parking signs, place trash and recycling collections out on the designated day, authorize collection between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. the next trash day, place trash and recycling collections in the proper containers to reduce spillage, and only set out trash for pickup at your location in front of your property. Sweep sidewalks and gather debris. Do not street sweep the debris into the street. So how the pilot program would work, we've divided these boundaries up in segments so that by time and by day, people will know when to move their car. This is a chart of the Strawberry Mansion area, which is scheduled to start August 9th. You can see the times from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. They are asked to move their cars on Mondays. These are the streets that will be done on Tuesdays and all the way through Thursdays. I won't go through individual due to the sake of time, but I wanted to give you an idea of how it would work. Here's a map of what that would look like. You notice that on those color-coded charts are represent the days of the week. They're strategically spaced out accordingly to give people opportunities to move their cars to a nearby location while we do a thorough job in cleaning the street. So if you can notice the sequence, the greens represent Monday. It's almost every other block or every few blocks where they will complete all Monday's route between 9 and 11, and that's the time we're asking residents to move their cars. And that goes for Tuesdays. You can see the blue areas, they're strategically spaced out as well. That should give people enough room to move their cars for that period of time while we clean the block, and Wednesday and Thursday and so forth. We've held off on Friday for a number of reasons. For those holidays we talked about, we will try to go back and clean those areas. We don't want to leave an area unswept for a couple of weeks at a time because of a holiday. So we'll try to use those Fridays as follow-up work in areas that we can't get to for a variety of reasons. This is an example of all the other areas. I will go through these very quickly. This is South Philadelphia from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Here is the Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and the streets when we're asking people to move their cars. Of course, we'll make all of this information available to you on our website so that you can read it thoroughly. But I due to the sake of time, I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to see it and gets through the presentation. Again, that's South Philadelphia's map. This is King Sessing in Southwest Philadelphia, from Woodland to King Sessing, from 49th to Cemetery. They're asked to move their cars from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And here's the map as well of that area. North Central Philadelphia is being asked to move their cars from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And this is the geographic boundaries of those areas on the days that we're going to do sweeping. These signs, this data and information will be on the signs specific to the area that they live in, so that they'll be able to see it and know when their car should be moved. And finally, what we're doing right now after our press conference, we're scheduling a host of community meetings so that residents will be able to have this information, especially directly in the pilot areas that will be affected, where they will receive the cleaning. In this meeting, they'll be allowed to ask questions, certainly want to know information about when and where to move their cars. All of that information will be available to them at that point in time. So we're hosting those community meetings for the rest of this week in those pilot areas. There will be a demonstration of the sidewalk sweepers today at 3:30 and 4 between the intersection of 30th and Gordon Streets. If you want to go get footage or get information or take pictures and photos for stories, please feel free to do so at that point in time. This concludes our presentation for today, and I would like to then turn it back over to Joy to open it up to questions that you may have.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we will now move to Q&A for members of the press. Also joining for questions, we have Keith Warren, Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation, Christopher Newman, Deputy Commissioner for Administration, and Richard Montañez, Deputy Commissioner for Transportation of the Department of Streets. Because of limited time, we remind our members of the media that only one representative from each media outlet is permitted to ask questions. Reporters are asked to limit their questions to 3 or fewer. And today we're limiting questions to the topic of the street cleaning program. For other topics, please email press@phila.gov. So we'll get started with Annie McCormick from 6ABC.
Hi, my question is more COVID geared. However, this is your only press availability today, so I have to ask it. And it does apply to streets department workers as well, because we're just wondering, the question is if on the horizon there is a possibility that streets department workers and other city workers will have to be vaccinated, if that's something that's going to be required.
That's not something we're prepared to talk about right now. It's not. We're looking at all options available. I'm not going to confirm anything at this moment. So talk about street sweeping.
Annie, I'm happy to send you a statement via our press@phila.gov email. Thank you. Do you have other questions on the topic?
I don't, just more on COVID. Can you get me on the second round?
Sure, we can try to do that. Thank you. All right, we will now go to Laura McChrystal with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, I am wondering the timeline for expanding to those other neighborhoods that you listed. Just to clarify, would those be swept? Would that gradual expansion happen between now and November, or are we looking at like next year for some of those other areas?
That's between now and November. Again, we are getting resources, and as we get the signs posted, equipment in, drivers trained, we'll make the announcement when those areas will be expanded, but we're in the process of doing that very quickly and right now. And so we expect to have the majority of those done before November, and then ultimately we'll be expanding the program even further come next spring when the cleaning season starts all over again.
Okay, and do you know at this point, like how much further you would hope to expand it next year or even in the next couple of years? Or is that a wait and see kind of thing?
So the goal is to do citywide mechanical street sweeping throughout the entire city. Some areas don't require weekly, so there may be different intervals. Some may be every other week, some may be even monthly, as you saw in the litter index map. Some areas are extremely clean in the city of Philadelphia, where others are more challenged. And so we're going to take a look at that, especially during the off season, to see the intervals and see how far we can expand to eventually get to a citywide cleaning program that eventually everyone gets their blocks cleaned at least a few times a year.
And do you have a time estimate of how long it might take to get to citywide?
We're still working on that, Laura. We're learning as we go in terms of how far we can get on our brooms. We were pretty effective with our pilot area. We were able to get through those routes every week towards the end of the program with very few problems. So I think that we'll be able to make an announcement sometime in the near future prior to next cleaning season as we have more data and information to evaluate after phase 2.
Okay, thanks. That's all from me.
Thank you, Laura. We'll now go with Ryan Briggs with WHOY.
Commissioner, a couple of questions here. Just to be clear, the parking enforcement, that's all being done in conjunction with PPA, I assume? I saw that you said sweepers will do some of the warnings, but.
Yes, Ryan, yes. So we have already met with PPA to discuss the actual enforcement of those areas. Initially, just like we do with our red light cameras and our speed cameras on the boulevard, we do want to give a warning phase, and that will likely take the rest of this season in terms of getting people accustomed to moving their cars. Probably at the beginning of the next season is when full enforcement with PPA will go into effect. This is brand new to everyone, so we want to give time for adjustments. And we thought that using that barometer is a fair judgment to allow people to know that their cars must be moved. Ultimately, those warnings will start immediately, followed by enforcement, probably at the start of next season.
And how is the Streets Department balancing this with, some of the staff shortages that have been seen in other parts of the sanitation department, particularly on trash collection, the delays and things like that? This is an expansion of service, but, there's obviously been documentation about, intermittent delays and just basic trash collection. How is that?
So I'm pleased to say that over the last week or so, that trash has been back on schedule. We've had our challenges with attendance, and we've had our challenge with hiring employees, just like many other industries have had, especially with drivers and laborers. We had high turnover, unfortunately. Our employees still battle COVID challenges. And so, that's always a balancing act. But I'm happy to say that we've staffed up and we're now moving forward and getting back to trash and recycling back to a normal collection schedule. And we're also still hiring for our mechanical street sweeping program. So we've made considerable amount of progress since the start of the fiscal year, which was July 1st.
Finally, I see some of the areas here overlap with, maybe existing cleaning programs, things that were launched by third parties, or maybe CDCs or something like that. How does that fit into this? And, is the idea that, they'll work together, or that one program maybe gets phased out in, favor of the other, or what's the strategy there?
No, I think we certainly, our CDCs, we value the work that they do. And I think this will only complement the work that they're doing in those areas. You can never clean too much. And so we're looking forward to kind of working with them to coordinate our efforts. Obviously, our commercial routes have not changed. We'll continue to clean our commercial areas the way we've done in the past. But we see this as a complement to the work that they're already doing. And we're looking forward to working with them in those areas.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. We'll now go with Argenis Figueroa with Univision 65.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Commissioner, I would like to give some information to our Hispanic viewers, but the question is, how can you educate the residents about this program, and how much could be the penalties?
So what we want to do is we're having community meetings. We've created a flyer. I think that you saw a copy of the flyer in my presentation earlier, that sweep officers will be going door to door in those pilot areas to make sure that people fully understand what's going to occur in their neighborhoods at any given time. So I think between those two intervals, people will have the information necessary to know when it's happening, what they should be doing, when to put out their trash, and their responsibilities while participating in these pilot areas.
Thank you. And could be a challenge to clean in Kensington area, because we can see a lot trash around. So with this program, you think that you can improve that thing?
Oh, absolutely. We've already been doing a lot of work in Kensington area with our current program in the city of Philadelphia. We work very closely with the managing director's office, managing director Alexander. And so we certainly send a lot of resources to that area. We know some of the challenges with illegal dumping has been a problem. So there's going to take a combination of things, not just mechanical sweeping. It's going to take improved enforcement. We're looking at expanding our camera network in those areas to catch people from dumping, because the key to all of this is prevention. So I think with that combination of working with the police, working with CLIP, we know that some areas of the city require more resources, and that's what we're prepared to do. And we think this will only help it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Hennis.
Thank
Okay,
you.
this is the last call for questions. All right, I don't see any more hands, so thank you. That concludes today's briefing. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.